Mother Nature is howling today. It sounds like she just took a break. So here I am bringing another message of self-love. It occurred to me this morning that I have been on a journey of 15 years since beginning my journey of self-discovery and personal development. It was in November of 2009 when I purchased my first adult journal and I began to write. And the journey over these past 15 years has been everything. It has included everything. And I am so grateful for everything that I have experienced, everything that I have gone through that has led me to where I am today. And where I am today is more fully embracing love for myself. One of the things that I have discovered in my own personal journey is self-love is not something that you can switch on and off. It's not like a light switch. At least in my experience, I cannot stand here right now and say, from this moment on, I am going to love myself unconditionally. It hasn't worked that way for me. And I imagine those of you listening who are doing something similar, it hasn't worked that way for you either. There are many, many layers to fully and unconditionally accepting, approving of, and loving yourself. And in my experience, it was about peeling back the layers of who I am not, who I have been taught to believe I am, in order to discover my natural self. So coming back to that quote, I know for me personally, I would often, and I still do to some degree, even though I'm catching it more quickly, would modify my words or my behavior in order to feel like the people around me would accept me and approve of me and love me unconditionally. And of course, much, if not all of this, goes back to our childhoods, but we don't have to get into that conversation today. It's about loving yourself. The world needs each one of us to be our unique natural self and to love ourselves madly. Now that means for me personally, looking at my patterns of behavior, the way I speak to myself, the way I think about myself. And for those of you who practice awareness throughout your day, you know that there is a narrative, there is this rhetoric that is constantly running in the back of your mind. And I know from my own personal experience that many of the thoughts that I thought about myself today, I have been thinking for decades, for most of my life. So it's the idea of checking in with what I'm thinking, how I'm feeling, how I'm behaving. Am I looking for acceptance? And then changing that, shifting it, transforming it. So for example, if I have a negative thought about my body and I catch it, which oftentimes we don't, and then our lives are dictated by these negative thoughts, I can take that opportunity to say, okay, I just noticed that thought. Now, I'm not going to judge it. I'm not going to criticize it. I'm not going to think horrible things about myself or berate myself because I had it again, because that's not loving yourself either. Instead, I'm going to notice it. I'm going to be curious about it, understanding about it, and then ask myself, what can I do right now to transform this, to shift this, and to move into the energy of loving myself unconditionally. And this is a moment-to-moment practice, a day-to-day practice. And each day I've been asking myself, what does loving myself more look like today? What does it sound like today? What does it feel like today or in this moment? And then I make those changes and I change the way I think. I change the way I act. I change the way or transform the way that I look at myself and feel about myself and think about myself. Because I would prefer my uniqueness to be in the world right now. I would prefer my natural self, which I'm being right now, to be more fully in this world. Fall in love with being a woman, with being your natural self, with being a person, rather than calculating what you think you need to do or say or act in order to be a version of you that you think people would be most likely to approve of or accept or love. Write that down. Feel into that a little bit. See how that fits with you. I also want to put it out there. I'm interested in getting together with women who are willing to have these conversations. Women who are willing to do what it takes to be your natural, loving self. I'm not looking for women to get together and have a bitch session. That's not what I'm looking for. Maybe it's someone like you who is in a practice of learning how to love yourself and you're ready to take the next step. You're ready to have some really honest and heartfelt and vulnerable conversations with other women. So I'm throwing it out there. Are you one of those women? If so, send me an email, send me a text, send me a direct message here on Instagram. And now I'm going to head back to the warmth of my car. And I hope that you all are having a beautiful day. Love yourself first. You are the most important person in your life.